All right, welcome to Community Extras. And we've been in this series in Romans together, looking really at God's will through worshiping God with our mind and our bodies, loving others, forgiving others where they need forgiveness, being good citizens where God placed us in regard to those authorities over us, and loving those who don't know Jesus. And this week was just a line in the sand where Paul says, there's a big difference between knowing God's will and doing God's will, and are we going to do God's will? We got about three categories Paul laid out. First, he says we're going to wake up, that the reality of Christ's return should produce in us an urgency. And maybe just an honest question. When does your Christian life tend to lack urgency? Maybe how can you help one another in the group walk with a sense of urgency in the things of God? How does the return of Christ not get weird and all weird events when Jesus says those are just part of it? It's going to be part of it till the end. Focus on faithfulness. How does the return of Christ produce in you faithfulness? Secondly, he says, take off the deeds of darkness. Sins like drunkenness, sins like sexual sin, sins like a life of excessive partying, relational strain. What does it mean for us to take off the sins of darkness? What would it look like to make no provision for the flesh? Maybe you can share an example of a friend who you knew who did this in their own area of struggle. Depending on the group, maybe some of you guys feel comfortable to share some examples in your own life of sins you struggled with and how God has slowly given you victory or exposed things in you that you could do to make no provision for the flesh. And then lastly, the call to put on Christ. And how can we encourage one another today to put on Christ, to read his word? How can you pray for each other with that? Looking forward to a great discussion. Hope you guys have a great group and see you soon.